share on the topic of exponential Africa. And I guess also more specifically on the work that we are starting to do in terms of working towards accelerating Africa's impact innovation potential. We really do appreciate this opportunity. As we already said, my name is Lucy NKohla, and my business partner, Kelly Rowe, and I have recently started Africa Exo. And you can find us at www.africaexo.com. I will share this link again later when I'm done presenting. If I can just share something. So according to the United Nations, 2/3 of the world's population may be facing water shortages within the next 5 years. Now, imagine a newspaper headline from the future that says, African female entrepreneur makes water out of thin air. Fortunately for us, this is our reality, and it's not something that we have to imagine. Beth Koigi, which is a Kenyan, or who is a Kenyan entrepreneur, has created Magic Water, which is a solution that harvests drinking water from air. Initially, though, what she set out to do was to create a water purifying system to fight water contamination. However, in 2016, when Kenya was experiencing a drought, she came to the realization that maybe their focus should not necessarily be on purifying water because the water sources will eventually run dry, but rather focusing on finding a new and alternative way to create more water. The solution is a device that uses the condensation method to convert air into water, and it can be powered by both electricity and solar, with the main intent being around powering it through solar energy. This is a little more complex than I may be explaining it, but I think that's the essence of the solution, and I hope that makes sense to some level. And this device at this point in time can make up to 500 liters of water per day, depending on the size of the device, because there's varying sizes. And I think you will agree with me that this solution has the potential to not only change water supply and access to water in the Kenyan community where this is being piloted, or where it was being piloted, but also change the future for the world in terms of how we relate to water and access to water. And I think one of the main, or one of the best things about the solution is that it's actually made out of a renewable source. For me, this is also an example of impact innovation, because not only is the solution using technology to address this big problem that we have of water shortage, but it's also doing that by leveraging exponential power of solar, which is similar to computing and aligned somewhat to Moore's law, right? So meaning that the cost of the technology will continue to decline, and therefore the adoption, or therefore encourage the adoption of the technology, and allow for a lot more communities to be served using this solution. I think it's very easy for all of us to focus on the things that we don't have and the scarcity of resources. I mean, if you watch the news on a regular basis, or you spend enough time on social media, you will be exposed to conversations or news highlighting the scarcity or the things that we're running out of, water being an example. But I think what the Magic Water solution does for us is show us that we can overcome the scarcity and shift towards abundance. And I think for that to happen, to unlock this abundance and accelerate the future that we all want for Africa, which is what we've all been talking about today, we must develop and maintain both an abundance and an exponential mindset. And I think that change in the perspective will help us shift our focus from trying to create more of what we need instead of consuming less of what we don't have, or rather consuming less of what we have. And will help us focus more on how do we create or unlock this abundance from what is already available, instead of focusing on the things that are running out. And interestingly, when I was doing research on Magic Water, I actually learned that there's 6 times more water in the air than there is in all the water reservoirs in the world. And I think technology is definitely one of the things that can help enable us in this process to unlocking this abundance. And in using or making use of technology in this way, we can reach more people. And we all know that, I mean, I think we all have some knowledge at this point around the many success stories of leapfrogging that have happened in Africa thanks to mobile adoption. And that for me is just an example of how technology can help accelerate this change that we want to see, or the impact that we want to But I think it's also important to highlight that technology alone may not be enough, that we also need to leverage new business models that can help us to grow our businesses. And I think Michael also spoke a bit to this earlier when he was speaking to exponentiality and exponential organizations. And that really is one of the models that we will be using at Africa Exo with the entrepreneurs and startups that we want to be working with, as well as corporate, right? To help them understand this exponential organizations methodology, but also I think it's also around helping them understand how they can leverage that to not only grow their business, right? So it's not just about the economic or financial gain, but it's about the impact that all of this has to do in the world, right? Or the impact that the solution can make in the world. And if I can highlight just one of the things that stood out for me in the book, or that I think is quite important, especially in relation to the work that we want to be doing, it's around this concept of a massive transformative purpose, which really speaks to why does your organization exist if we're looking at it at an organizational level, but also on a personal level, why are you doing what you are doing, right? So it speaks to this aspiration of the future that you want to see in the world. So if I can use an example, when I was doing my research about magic water, Beth actually spoke to democratizing access to water in the world. And I think that for me, if she had sat down and defined her MTP statement, that would most probably be her MTP statement. And if I can just give another example of an MTP statement, just to give it context, if you think of TED, for example, so the TED MTP, or the TED purpose, and what would be the equivalent of an MTP in this case, is ideas worth spreading. And if we look at the Khan Academy, this is a free world-class education for anyone, everywhere. And Unilever's is to make sustainable living commonplace in the world. And I think if I just speak to our MTP, so our MTP being the Africa EXO MTP, our MTP is to accelerate Africa's impact, innovation, potential. And I think one of the key things with an MTP is that because it is so aspirational, it's normally something that you cannot necessarily complete or achieve on your own, but rather you rely quite heavily on what we call a community and crowd, right? So it's around reaching out to those networks of entrepreneurs like we are today, for example, and finding the people, finding your tribe, if we can call it that, but people who have a similar aspiration to yours and are working in one way or another to achieve the same or a similar goal as you. And I think that's why for me also today was an opportunity that we couldn't pass on, because we wanted to connect with entrepreneurs and people on the African continent that are already hopefully working in a similar space as us, or can potentially form part of our ecosystem, right? Because one of the things that we are doing at the moment is we're working towards building this ecosystem that will focus on sorry, I'm seeing a lot of comments coming through and I'm not sure if maybe my time is up. But I think just to close, that's the work that we're doing, myself and Kelly. And we really just wanted to take this opportunity as well to see if there are any people on this call today who feel that there's some kind of synergy between what we're doing and what you are doing or what you are intending to do. Please do reach out to us. After I'm done with my presentation as well, I'll share a form that you can use to just give us your details, and then we'll be in touch with you and see if there's an opportunity to collaborate and co-create this Africa that we all want.
Okay, great. I think it's very precise and very interesting presentation, really. And of course, I'm also part of the Exponential organization. And we speak about abundance, we speak about exponential, and really this is what Africa really needs. We need to create this exponential mindset, you know, and this affects technology, it affects in the way we do things in terms of organizations, as even as a corporate, you know, and it's exponential in different aspects, you know,
Yes.
and all coming together in order to scale, in order to develop something new in terms of
Yes.
abundance, you know. So,
Yeah.
and that should be the mindset, especially dealing with our entrepreneurs, you know, they should see the bigger picture, you know, how do we get there, you know.
Yes.
And this is part of what we'll be also be discussing more on the ADNet platform, and sometimes because from December we'll be starting our tech series, you know, and we'd like to pass this message on. And we'll be doing this with other open innovations, circular economy, renewable energies, you know, and I'll be discussing this more in details with you and Kelly later, just for us
please,
to have,
we look forward. We look forward to
to
having
have
the
some
conversation.
synergy, to have this synergy, and we try to push this. I mean, let's move Africa forward, really.
Let's move Africa forward. I think we are ready for an exponential Africa.
So, Rashid, you have something for Lucy? Does anybody have a question or something?
Yes, and just a reminder, Kelly is also on the call. Kelly, I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yes,
so if you do have any questions or comments, really.
Hello, Kelly.
Hi, Kenneth. Well done.
Yes.
It's great. We're just at a very early stage of our journey, and we identify the importance of collaborating. It's the only way we're going to be able to move the needle, increase the level of ambition on the continent, and bringing those really innovative talent solution ideas that are on the ground to the surface. We know that it's there. We've just got to ensure that that enabling environment's created. And thanks for the opportunity, and well done, Lucy.
We have quite a lot to do in Africa, really. And we are just starting. Of course, we appreciate what the innovation hubs have been doing. The government, they are joining now, and there are also some other international organizations who are also facilitating this. And we also appreciate what Smart Africa is doing in terms of connectivity, making sure we have connectivity even to the rural environment. And they are doing a lot also in terms of reforms, policy reforms, in terms of making sure this is workable. And we are there to complement them and to move forward, really. And that is what we are trying to do.